staff that I'm bringing into the city, people that care about the city, people that care about the residents. So we had, there's a lot of grants that we applied for. There's some great news coming. I'm not going to announce it yet. One of the things that we talked about, before is Dearborn Heights was isolated for many years, with the county, with the state, with like the neighboring cities. So we're part of we're part of the Downriver community, and we're also part of the CWW, which is Conference of Western Wayne. So for the first 2 weeks I was on the job, I was going to these meetings and, engaging with other mayors, engaging with other supervisors like a mayor in a township, trying to see what we can do together. We had an issue with this one, everybody knows Highland Park, they were not paying their water bills. Well, guess what? We were paying for their water bills. All the cities, surrounding cities, was paying for their water bills. And I'm talking tens and thousands of dollars a month that it was coming out of taxpayers' money, the Dearborn Heights residents and other cities. So we got together, all of us as a community. And that's what matters, is when you all work as a community, trying to do what's best, for your citizens. Every mayor that I've talked to, every supervisor that I dealt with, they have the same passion for their people, for their citizens. We actually had, we put through council several times resolutions, basically that say the council, everybody is on board to hold the state. We went after the state because the state was allowing this to happen. And guess what? Just recently, the state, lost a case. There was a federal case, went in front of a federal judge. So they held that community accountable, so they had to pay their bills. So they can help us out. And that's some of the reasons why a lot of water bills, a lot of residents, they complain about their water bills. It's caused because of this. And also, we took out a lot of loans. We took out a huge bond, over $20 million, that we're supposed to do the CSO projects, which is mandated by the state, by EGLE. EGLE is like EPA for the state. And also, we're supposed to replace all our water mains. The water meters. The water meters are so outdated, so we have to replace them. So now, because of CSO projects, because of COVID, all the prices shot sky high. So, excuse me. So now we're trying to get grant money to offset what we actually could have, what we should have paid. Like say the water mains from, let me see. Don't quote me on this. I think it was like $9 million was going to cost us to replace, the water meters. Well, I know now it's going to be a lot more than that. So everything, like I said, shot sky high during COVID. So this is some of the stuff that, that I encountered, being as a mayor. A lot of things that, is coming our way, and we're trying to do the best we can, to get our city back on track. I can tell you, a lot of companies, just to give you one example how they neglect in our city. There was a company that was doing work in both Dearborn and Dearborn Heights. When one of our city engineers went there to look at the quality of work, it was so like substandard for our city. And he's looking at the Dearborn side, it was like world-class job. And he's like, hey, what the hell is going on here? Why are you doing this crappy job for Dearborn Heights and you're not doing it good? You're doing it for Dearborn, but not Dearborn Heights. Anybody know what the answer was? Dearborn Heights doesn't check their work. That's why. It's because nobody was looking. People were sleeping at the wheel. So this is some of the stuff that we're encountering. You get some roads, like say the road's supposed to be like 6 to 7 inches thick with concrete. There's some roads that are 2 to 3 inches. And now like all this stuff is now on us that we have to fix. So we have a limited budget for roads. So, this young young lady asked me this question earlier about the roads. Fix her street, if it's on, which is a county road. There's some streets owned by the city. There's some by the county. There's some by the state. And you can let us know. We'll talk to the right authority, or right entity to do the roads. But we do have, a lot of responsibility for our city streets, but our budget's so limited right now to fix roads. So what we started doing, we have a company that actually goes in and assesses all the roads, and they give it a rating. So the worst roads, believe it or not, it's like if you go in there, you patch a road, then it kind of drops down, so the rating is higher, so they don't replace it. So it's like you want your road to be bad so you can get replaced. So we did last year, we had a little bit of money left over. So we went, instead of replacing the whole street, we started replacing slabs, which was very effective. We started, we actually did a lot more streets, and a lot of people were happy because, some roads, you got a little patch that you can just replace a big slab, and you don't have to replace the second or third, then go to the fourth and replace that, which is, very cost effective for us. So this is some of the stuff that we're doing. Anyway, I can just go on and on with this. Like I said, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I always say I jumped into the hornet's nest with this position, but, like I said, I asked for it, and I'm not going to back down. I'm going to do what I can and everything I can for our city. Thank you.
Could you please have a seat down there? So, okay. طبعا, I do thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that. First question: 10 months as an appointed mayor, 1.5 years as elected mayor. Look at Dearborn Heights before Bill BAZZI came to it and after. How can you compare them?
Okay. So, again, I'm going to try not to, there's some stuff I can't talk about, because there's still a few things that are under investigation with our PD. But I can tell you, just to give you an example, the system was broken in the beginning. There was no policies, there was no procedures. Right now, we're still working on policies and procedures. We have, we had a hard time hiring people. Obviously, our pay, everybody knows, we hear it all the time, our pay is not good. But one of the things that was done in the past, many, many years ago, they decided to go to a 4-day work week. So employees, they work 4 days a week, 32 hours, and they get paid for 36 hours. They get a lot of vacations, a lot of sick time, and a lot of comp times. So you got a lot of people that come in, they can probably take half a year off, and they can still get paid for the whole time because of the amount of time that we're giving them. So my HR director, she looked at a base pay for a person, just a high school person working, the 4 days a week, and she calculated with the pay, and this is a person I'm not talking about the high end, just like an average, makes about $70-something thousand a year. With their pension, with their, health care, and also, obviously, their pay. Because you take into account everything that I mentioned, the equivalent to about $70-something thousand. So one of the things, so we just negotiated a contract, with, and that's something that, I have an amazing HR director. We brought in a great attorney that is helping us with negotiation. And they're looking at everything that is non-value added. So instead of giving somebody you come in, you work 1 year, and you got 15 days vacation. So we take some of the vacations away, then put it as an incentive, to higher pay. So right now we're negotiating several contracts, and this is what we're trying to do. So with the police department, this is some of the stuff that we did. Took out something, but then yet you compensate through pay. So this is one of the biggest issues that we're having right now is the pay and try to increase it. But we have several initiatives that we're working on just to make sure that we can get back on track and be competitive with other cities with pay.
Okay. how far can you say you are satisfied with what you have done so far?
Well, you know, I'm never satisfied with what I've done. I'm very mission oriented. Until we get our city back on track and just go propel forward, I'm never happy. I always, one of the things that, you know, we learned, you know, when I worked for Boeing, you know, they sent us to training, the Carnegie training, and also, you know, they really stress world class. You know, this is something that resonated in my head, you know, world class. And this is something that I want to do. Until our city, everything in our city is world class, I'm not going to be satisfied.
Okay.
Thank you.
Corruption is ugly, but it's real.
Yes.
Tell us about corruption in the city.
Well, I'm going to give you an example. When I was on council, and like I said, you know, certain people, they know this here because they were present. You know, they were saying the same thing they're saying now as they were saying before as they are now. We had, when I was knocking on doors in 2017 when I ran, I knocked on some people's doors and I thought they were crazy. They were telling me something that didn't make sense to me. They said, you know, my grandparents used to own this house, and these people, they bought their house for nothing. And I'm like, what do you mean? They said, you know, they came in, they inspected their house. They said their house needs about $15,000 to $20,000 in repair. I'm like, you know, I thought, you know, that's an exaggeration. But when I heard it multiple dozens of times, I'm like, you know what? Now it's stuck in my head. So I started kind of listening and start taking notes. So a year into office as a councilman, I get a call by this lady, and she's like, I think you should meet this. I want you to meet somebody. And, you know, one of the things I believe, I'm religious. You know, God puts us on earth for a reason, and God puts us in certain path for a reason. This lady wanted me to meet the senior citizen, and I told her, yeah, I'll meet with her. So I met with her at a local coffee shop. I mean, not local, but another city local shop. Coffee shop, and she was telling me that somebody took her house, stole her house, basically. I'm like, I was on a council. I'm like, how did that happen? She told me the same thing. She was going to list her house for sale. Somebody came up to inspect. Again, I'm not mentioning any names, but you can see it. It's in the paper. You can go back to 2018, 2019. It's in the paper, newspaper. So they had... this person came in and said, hey, I'll buy your house. And after that person told her the house is going to be about $15,000 to $20,000 in repair. And this lady had brain tumor. That's disgusting. I'll tell you, I'm still sick to my stomach right now. You know, even talking about it, that's a couple of years ago. Well, needless to say, this person took her house not for $20,000 less, $30,000 to $40,000 less than its value. And her house was worth about $120,000, $130,000. So this lady was a senior citizen. Her husband died. She had brain tumor. Her days were numbered. And her daughter was going to inherit the house. So what's really more disgusting than that is the person said, you know, I'll buy your house. He took the keys from her. And he went to, thank you, sir. He took the keys, and within few days, he said he's going to buy the house. He put dumpsters outside her house, and he started throwing all her furniture in the dumpster. And that's, like I said, I'm so disgusted even thinking about it. So basically, he took the house. He basically kicked her out of the house. They showed up to closing. She wasn't even allowed to go in her own house. It wasn't even his house yet. And this is the kind of stuff that was going on in the city. You know, it was even somebody from the police department, when I was appointed mayor, said, yeah, in the city it was pay to play. I tell you what, I have never been disgusted in my life when I heard that. The first time I heard it, and especially from somebody from the police department, I can't say who that person was. For you, wearing a freaking badge, saying that word, it just like resonated with me. Like, it was bad. When I was on council, I tell you, I mean, some people in here knew I was going to run for mayor in 2017. That's a big story. That's a long story. You could probably, you know, I'll give you details later about that one. Because again, I could write a freaking book, seriously, about some of the stuff, just 1 year in office. But one of the things that, you know, I did clean house. You know, I got rid of a lot of people. And I tell you one thing. You can, you know, one of my big mottos, you know, I learned, you know, lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. You know, if you want to lead, you know, come take this freaking position, run for this office, you can have my position. Or you can follow me or get the hell out of my way, because I'm fixated on fixing the city. And if you're, you know, corrupt, there's no freaking way, there's no room for you in my city or in my administration. And I can tell you, I got several investigations right now. And there's something really bad. I can't talk about any of them, obviously, because of the investigation. But you know, you guys will hear about them in the news, I'm hoping, in the next few months.
So you say that you are dealing with the cases of corruption.
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
The golf course. Could you please explain to us what's happening in the golf course project?
Well, the golf course, okay, again, it's not, the mayor does not, I can't approve anything over $1,500 without council approval. It went out for BidNet. People bid on it, and they came present it to the council. Somebody decided they want to go in front of council. You know, it went for the golf course. It was trashed. It was trashed so bad. Again, you know, we're gonna post pictures before and after once we get everything up, you know, up and running. It was so disgusting the way it was before, and I tell you, it was either just let it go, you know, just turn it into a jungle, or just use it like, you know, as an investment for the city. You know, put some money into it and just, you know, run it as a golf course, you know, for the residents, and for run it as a business, but not for the city running it, you know, for the entities. We have 2 entities actually that will be running the course. We got the banquet. And also, what's called Revive is under the entity of Isa Brothers, who have the golf course.
But is it true that the city is paying $3.2 million to the contractor?
No, it's false. The contractor is paying. Okay, Mr. Isa is paying $3.5 million out of his own money, and right now he's probably put majority of that money already into the course with some of the work that he's doing. So we did pay to get the golf course itself. So the golf course, you get the banquet and the golf course. The golf course where you're actually golfing. So we're responsible for the golf course itself, and also to get a CFO to make. And I'm going, like I said, if you have anything, you want something from the city, you're not gonna get it. You know, you go by the book, you know, you go whatever it needs to get done to get it. You want to apply for a job, don't ask me for a job, go apply online or go talk to HR. You want property, you know, we can assess it, go on BidNet, you can go bid for it, and if the council approve it, it's yours. Otherwise, you're not going to get property for free. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is, you know, Dr. Ajami mentioned about some crime and some issues that we're having in the city. So I meet with my police chief and my 2 directors for the police department. And just to go back a little bit, I brought my police chief. I had a commissioner, but God rest his soul, he passed away. You know, and one of the things that I wanted to do is I want to make my police department a world-class police department. I want people, when they see you know, I wore a badge for about 10 years in the military, military police. When I wear the badge, I wear it with honor. I wore it with honor, and I expect everybody that wears a badge to wear it with honor. So this is what I want. I want when somebody sees one of our police officers, and right now we got a lot of great police officers. I'm hearing a lot of compliments about our police officers that are staying behind, and they want to fight with us. They want to try to transition, propel our city forward, trying to do great things for our city. So I brought in 2 directors. You know, one director, he retired from Westland. He's actually in charge of patrol, and I brought in another director. He's in charge of investigation, and he's going to do a lot of internal affairs. And this guy, he actually retired from the government. He was ATF. He was a special agent in charge. He had hundreds of people that reported to him. This guy cleans the house. When he comes in, people know that he's present. And this is what I want. I want a clean house. I want to clean our city. So these guys came in and they're, they're on the ground. Again, I want to build our team. I had several meetings. My door is always open. People come to my office all the time, employees, police officers, firefighters, just they're asking about the state, where we're going, what my vision is. And a lot of them, they say that, they're here to stay. They want to do great things. They want to know what they can do to help propel our city forward, our police department, the different departments that we have. And, just to let you know, right now we have at least six candidates, applied. They went to the academy that where we extended some offers for some police officers. We got a lot of interest, police officers that actually want to come, or candidates that want to come work for the city of Dearborn Heights. We actually have right now a grant from the state that we can pay for candidates that they can work for the city, they can work in a jail or do anything with the city, and we can send them to the police academy, and the state will pay us a grant to send them to the academy. So we just got to pay a minimal fee for them to work for the city. So we're going to be fully staffed. I think we're down about close to 11 throughout the station. But one of the things, when I became the mayor, there was a lot of police officers or somebody from the police department, and some of them left. Some of them are on the road. A lot of people were upstairs. They weren't doing much. They were just, there was a unit that was upstairs. They were, again, I won't mention names. They weren't doing anything for the city. So that's one of the things that I had an issue with the previous chief, is I told him I want everybody on the road. If you're not doing anything, of value to the city, I want you to be on the road. And that's one of the issues that some of them have. They don't want to work. They wear a badge. They could be, they're doing stuff other than law enforcement. We had one person, just to give you an example, they were calling him the IT person, but when he was asked, where's the flash drive, they said, what the heck is a flash drive? And this guy's been in IT for the police department for several years. I mean, most of it, does anybody not know what a flash drive is? So this guy was the IT person working at the police department for years, and he didn't know what a flash drive is. This is that kind of stuff, this is the kind of people, are leaving the city, because now I told everybody, you got to be a police officer, you got to be on the road. Again, we have several that left, several that retired, and few that we let go. But I can tell you, we have a great team in place right now. We have a lot of great prospects are coming in. I said we have a few offers. We have a few that look like they're going to accept the offer, and we'll announce later, when they're like starting dates. So I had just pulled something up here right before I came. Like many communities, Dearborn Heights, experienced an increase in reported criminal activities. I tell you, I don't know what the heck happened during COVID, but just people went nuts. People are going crazy with some stuff. One of the things that we're having issues with, the biggest problem is domestic violence. And my chief says it best. Now that people are together, we're fighting one another. There's brothers fighting with brothers. There's brothers fighting with sisters, sisters fighting with their parents. Just like the other day, I had a mom that called the police on her daughter because her daughter hit her. She was, acting violent towards the mom. So this is the kind of stuff that, we're dealing with, a lot of domestic violence. So during COVID, the reported crime increased by 14.5% in 2021, and it slightly increased to 1.25% in 2022 as we exited the pandemic. Again, a lot of that increase. There was increased cases of stolen cars. There was larceny in vehicles. But I can tell you, we've seen some videos that came out. There's some cars that we discovered that people leave their key fobs in their vehicle. And I mean, that's a big no-no. You don't leave a key fob in a car because you can just. I've seen it actually. I've seen a video of one of the vehicles. Somebody jumped into a vehicle, and they just, within like 10 seconds, they were in driving. They were like moving forward with this vehicle. And that vehicle was used in another stolen car in just a few streets down the road. A lot of, believe it or not, there's people that are leaving guns in their cars. You know, they have one vehicle, they have thousands of dollars in cash in a car. There's people leaving their expensive purses that you can see visibly from the outside. So, you know, people come through, a lot of kids from the neighborhoods, they come in, they see this, and they just go through the neighborhoods. They try to open the door. They can open the door, they grab and just leave. If they can't open the door, they go to the next vehicle. That's one of the biggest issues we have. People, that they don't leave their vehicles locked, and they leave their key fobs in their vehicles. So one of the things my chief, we met with, we had several community outreach events, some town hall meetings with some residents. We had one area we identified as a red zone. It's like pretty hot zone with car issues, you know, breaking in cars, you know, I mean, opening cars or stealing cars. So there's a program my chief started, it's called DDACT, which stands for Data-Driven Approach to Crime and Traffic Safety. So what they did is they mapped the whole city, and they started putting plots in, which has never been done before. This chief came in, and he wanted to identify like some area. He's really big into data. He wants to see like where's the issues. Okay, let's go take everything, put everything to that area. So we showed, actually he showed, we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and he had PowerPoint. I was going to bring it, but I didn't think that you guys have PowerPoint capability here, but anybody wants it, I can share it. We had in just 1 month with the DDAC program. So we go to an area, we figured out like the hot zone area, we go after these areas. So there's a lot of police presence. They're pulling people over for, even if they don't get a ticket, they're pulling people over. And because, you know, a lot of people come into the areas like, oh my God, there's a lot of police presence here. They leave, they go somewhere else. And my chief actually said it best. I'd rather people leave our city, go somewhere else, commit crimes. Don't do it in Dearborn Heights, which is, I know that's bad. But as long as they leave my city, I don't care. So in 1 month, just 1 month, 90% reduction in stolen cars. 92% in larceny from auto. And 40% increase in citizens' contact, you know, with traffic stops. So a lot of police officers, they're in streets, you know, a lot of them. My chief is really huge in community policing. He wants our police to be involved with the community. The first week, not even the first week on a job, the chief actually was at the city hall, Chief Hart. He left and he saw some folks, you know, they're sitting in, you know, outside in their backyard. He actually stopped and he said, hi, you know, how you doing? You know, I'm the new chief. So they were shocked because they've never seen anybody actually go to them and just like, you know, greet them. So this is huge. You know, this is what my chief wants to do. He wants officers to engage residents, you know, just engage, you know, citizens and just make sure there's like, you know, a good rapport with our residents. And we're seeing a lot of positive feedbacks from residents. They're saying a lot of police officers, they're actually, you know, they're waving at them. I mean, this is something so simple. You know, this is, I mean, it should be self-explanatory, right? The police officer drives by, you know, waves at you. You know, now they're actually engaging residents. They're talking to residents. So right now we're going to bring in a data analyst. The data analyst is going to really help us in the police station. They're going to keep continuously, you know, we're going to update residents on everything's going on. So we're going to start putting stuff out there. You know, like anything happens in the area, boom, you know, now it's starting more and more. We're putting it on social media. We're letting residents know what's going on in their neighborhoods. So this data analyst, all they're going to do is anytime there's a crime, which we never had before. So when he came in, well, I asked him a question because this was never answered. I asked my chief, my old chief, I'm like, hey, I need to know, you know, where's your hot spots? Where's the issues with speeders? You know, where's like your accidents? Where's, you know, where there's, you know, most domestic violence? You know, none of that stuff was answered. Like, I didn't know, it was never supplied. So this chief, he comes in, he's actually working on a lot of issues himself because, you know, we're trying to get our department back on track where we should be, you know, like 10 years ago. And he's trying to catch up, you know, with the two guys. You know, they're working around the clock trying to get us. And I can tell you, the new chief, he's actually stepped at the police station several times because he was working so late. you know, he's just like, you know what, I'd rather just sleep here in the morning.
ليش هالأمسية؟ لماذا هذه الأمسية؟ تعرفوا من زمان، من يمكن كنت هون أنصل عام 2004 على 2007. بهداك الوقت elected officials كان في عنا، بتذكر زهير كان في 2، كان في عبد الحسين هيدوس رئيس بلدية وين، وكان في سوزان سرعينة سيتي كونسل ممبر بديربورن. غير هيك ما كانش في حدا. كنا نحلق مين؟ اوكي. المهم انه عدد الالكتد اوفيشالز كان كتير محدود. ما كانش في ولا قاضي منتخب. بتذكر بال 2007 يمكن وقت اللي ترشح سالم سلامي على انتخابات القضاة، نزل محله شخص تاني بتعرفوه مين، وكانت النتيجة انه 2 ما نجحوا. المهم كنا نحلم دائما ان يكون لنا حضور فاعل في هذه الجالية. كل عمرنا كنا نحلم ان شاء الله بكره بصير عنا قضاة، ان شاء الله بصير، ان شاء الله بصير. الحمد لله عنا بدل القاضي صار يمكن من فوق 10 قضاة. عنا اطباء ما في محل بتروحوا عليه الا بالمستشفيات، العيادات كلها من اصل معظمهم الاطباء من اصول عربيه، محامين كذلك، مهندسين كذلك. هذه السنه 2021 صار عندنا انجاز. 3 مدن، ديربورن، هايتس، هامترامك، تم انتخاب رؤساء للبلديات من اصول عربيه. الحمد لله، الحمد لله. السؤال الآن، ماذا جنينا بعد أن وصلنا إلى هذه المناصب؟ هل حققنا ما تطمح له الجالية؟ هل أنجزنا حقا ما كنا نحن في دواخلنا نحلم بتحقيقه؟ هذه الأمسية وأمسيات تالية ستأتي محاولة للإجابة على هذه الأسئلة. ماذا فعلنا؟ ماذا حققنا؟ ماذا أنجزنا؟ وإذا كان هناك خلل ما أين هو؟ هذه الليلة الأمسية ستكون مع رئيس بلدية ديربورن هايتس بلال BAZZI. يا شباب، ما بدنا نعمل مثل ما بتعمل النعامة ونتخبى ورا الحقيقة. Everybody knows. كل الناس بتعرف أنه الأوضاع، هناك كثير من الأوضاع التي تحتاج إلى إجابات. موضوع safety and security، ما حدا في يقول مستر ماير، ما حدا في يقول انه بديربورن هايتس this is not an issue. ما حدا بيقول انه السيرفيسز بديربورن هايت is not an issue. ما حدا بيقول انه الطرقات بديربورن هايت is not an issue and so on and so on and so on. هذه طبعا نحن الآن لسنا في صدد محاكمة أحد. نحن نحاول كأبناء جالية واحدة أن نتحاور، نطرح أسئلة، نجيب على هذه الأسئلة بكل احترام وبكل لباقة. طبيعة الحال لأن الوقت ضيق، يعني نحن تأخرنا ربع ساعة already والوقت يعني عنا بس لحدود الساعة 8. بعد قليل سأقدم الماير ليلقي كلمة وبعدها نطرح الأسئلة عليه. إذا كان لدى أحدكم أي رغبة في طرح أي سؤال فليكن مكتوبا، يعني لن يتسع المجال لإعطاء المجال لا لمداخلات ولا لطرح أسئلة شفوية علنية، ولكن أن تكون الأسئلة مكتوبة. أيها الأحبة، بلال بزي انتخب رئيسا لبلدية ديربورن هايتس ب 22 نوفمبر 2021. قبل ذلك عين في المنصب نفسه لمدة 10 أشهر تقريبا، كما خدم في مجلس المدينة منذ سنة 2017. يحمل شهادة الإجازة والماجستير في علوم وهندسة الطيران. خدم في المارينز لمدة 21 سنة. تلقى العديد من الجوائز والأوسمة. اشتغل أيضا في شركتي بوينغ وفورد، وكان رئيسا أو عضوا في العديد من المجالس ذات الطابع الخدماتي والإنساني. سنستمع أولا أيها الإخوة لرئيس بلدية ديربورن هايتس بلال بزي. رحبوا معي. مستر ماير، it's your podium.
Good evening. Let's take some notes here. Thank you, Doctor. Appreciate the introduction. So I know Dr. Ajami sent me a few questions. So basically, I'm going to just highlight, a few things, where the city was when I first took over, when I was first appointed to being a mayor. So the time when I became a mayor, it was probably one of the toughest years in the city of Dearborn Heights. We were during COVID time, and also we had the floods. We had the two worst floods in our city. We had thousands of homes that were flooded. As most of you seen, there was trash everywhere, both in Dearborn Heights, and several surrounding cities. So at that time, we had a lot of revenue loss during that COVID years. One of the things, we had Plan Moran. They came in, and we had like ARPA money. It's called the American Rescue Plan money that came from the federal government because of COVID. So we actually so there was different ways that you can use the money. You can use some of it for revenue loss. So Plan Moran came in, they audited, they said, they estimated over $10 million that we lost. So you can claim the $10 million and you can actually put it in the general fund. We had a lot of issues. There's some stuff I'm not going to talk about because there's some stuff is under investigation. But I can tell you, there was the system was broken in the city. That was one of the difficulties that we had when I first came in, and we had close to $3 million in deferred payments. So they were just kicking the can down the road, and this money we owed for Social Security money to the IRS. So when I took over, the IRS came knocking on my door. It's like they want their money, And, you know, you got to give, IRS gets their money first. They don't care what state you're in and as ourselves or even as a city. So when they came calling, we had to pay the money that we owed the IRS. And on my way here, I was talking to my chief of staff about some stuff, you know, just trying to get some information so I can give you accurate data. And she was telling me that they're calling again that we have some more money that we deferred, you know, several years ago, that they're calling for more money. So this is some of the stuff that we were, you know, that I was dealing with the first year, 2 years in office, just trying to get above water. And one of the hardest things that we were dealing with is, you know, when I was on council, we had a lot of grants that we could have pursued. You know, like just to give you an example, the lead lines. The lead lines, you know, that's a must. We got to replace them. So I remember when I was on council, you know, they put stuff in front of you. You go through the package. You know, you hope that, you know, everything is done correctly. So we voted to replace a lot of the lead lines. I believe we spent several $1 million on that line that we could have gotten grants for. And there was like a lot of other things that we could have went and got grants from the U.S. government. But no, but we paid. It was taxpayers' money. Also, you know, one of the things that, you know, there's some stuff that's mandated by the state, you know, by Eagle, the CSO, it's called the CSO project, which is you got to separate the sewer from storm, and that's mandated by the state. So that's multi-million-dollar projects. So before me, I know the water rates are high, and the reason why they're high, there's just so many disconnects. So we have two watersheds. We have the Ecorse Creek, and we also have the Rouge. So we have, our sewers is going to two different locations. So right now, we're actually going through and we're auditing a lot of things that should have been done 15, 20 years ago. We're finding out that, you know, we might be paying too much, you know, for our sewer, you know, going into like two different areas. So this is something that we have one of my city engineers that I brought him on from the county. He retired from, the airport, but before he was county. So he's the city engineer, which we never had. So there's a lot of things that I brought when I became the mayor, because we were using a lot of contract work. So there was like a city engineer was done by a contractor, which they were not really looking. Again, I'm not going to talk about, you know, I won't mention any names or anything like that, but they were using this particular entity, and that entity was paying, basically we're paying them for consulting, but they were just doing consulting. They were not giving us, you know, right data or right information, or like, you know, how to, you know, accept certain projects. Just to give you an example, the fire station, we have a fire station on Beach Daily and Ford Road. Most of you probably know where the fire station is. That fire station should be condemned, you know, it should be torn down. And the reason why is because the company that actually built the fire station, they built it wrong. They put stuff underneath it, which was man-made material, which during flooding, when it gets wet, it expands. So it's pushing everything upwards. So there's a lot of walls, cracked walls in a fire station. There's a lot of doors that don't open, don't close, and this is the kind of stuff that I inherited. You know, so right now we're trying to figure out which way, you know, what we can do to get funding, trying to get a new fire station. So this fire station was built in 1999, and right now it has to be torn down, just to show you that nobody actually inspected it. There was nobody there. Everybody was sleeping at the wheel, I guess, at that time. So we had a company that came in and they did sampling, and they have a report. So there's a lot of things that, you know, right now we're so far behind on a lot of things. You know, I'm just like I said, running like 1,000 miles an hour trying to get to where we need to be. You know, there's going to be litigations. There's going to be some lawsuits on a lot of things that, you know, what they did to the city. And, you know, that one is going to be a huge lawsuit. You know, we're trying to put data together to go after the company that we paid, you know, millions of dollars to build the station. And now we have to cough up close to $14 to $15 million from our own pocket to build a fire station for for the safety of our residents. And that's just one of many things that we discovered that we're struggling, we're battling right now. So Dr. Ajami, you mentioned something about like crime statistics. So when I came in, again, there's a lot of things I can't talk about, but I can tell you one thing. Some people, one of the most irritating things, some people are, they're campaigning and they're putting false information outside, or, to the residents. There's some police officers that retired. There's some police officers that we fired. And there's some police officers that decided to resign. And I don't want to get into the specifics, but I can tell you, we got close to a dozen different investigations on some guys that were in the station. Some of them, they decided to leave, then face the consequences. I can tell you one thing, I have one of the best police chiefs that anybody could have, this guy can probably double his salary going anywhere in the state of Michigan. But, I interviewed with him. No, actually, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. He interviewed me to come to the city of Dearborn Heights because of the state that our police, and if you don't have a good police department, your city is no good. And I can tell you, there was a lot of issues. I was getting a lot of complaints from people that were bringing stuff to my attention. And now they're attacking me because of stuff that they brought to me about some concerns they had with, let's say, with a police officer, with a police old chief, or somebody from, the detectives or whatever. So again, I'm cleaning house right now. So this is some of the stuff, I learned over the, in my life. In corporate America, with working for two great companies, with Boeing and also with Ford, and being in the Marines for 21 years. I've been deployed, several times. I learned a lot of things, and I tell you one thing, is I spent a lot of time overseas, and one of the things that I learned, is like to serve the people. I was serving people outside our country, people I had no idea who they were. So I decided to run, when I ran for mayor or when I was appointed, I want to serve my people, my residents, my city. And I'm going by the book. And, again, there's been several attacks. Somebody already talked to me about it earlier. Hey, if somebody has anything, there's a frickin' downtown. They can call. I can give them the number. They can go anytime. They can bring that stuff over there. I have nothing to hide. I'm just doing everything by the book. And I can tell you, there's some people, and I already did, I went to the media and I talked about this. And again, I want to bring that up one time, and the last time I'll bring that up. If anybody has anything, just go to the authorities. Make sure that this golf course is in operable condition. So you got to make sure that you can golf on the golf course. So there's two restrooms on the golf course. So there's 36 holes. There's two restrooms that on the golf course. I mean, one of them had holes in the ceiling. So this is the stuff that we had to replace. So that at the cart paths, a lot of the cart paths were not, where you drive the carts to get from one hole to the next. Some of them were not paved. So we're paving all of it, so that's the city expense.
Okay. How many lawsuits has the city been subject to since you took oath as a mayor, and why?
Okay, so when I first, let's go back here. When I first came in to be the mayor, like I said, I made a lot of changes. When I walked into my office, every drawer you open, there was a lawsuit in it. There was a potential lawsuit. There was dozens of lawsuits or potential lawsuits when I first became the mayor. There was stuff that was needed, like discovery, from months before I took over, that was just sitting in somebody's drawer. They just didn't care. So right now, there's one lawsuit. There's one active lawsuit that I just did a deposition on last, week or so, couple weeks. It's, obviously I can't talk about it. It's the lawsuit from an employee that was terminated, or his service is no longer required. I know you think it's funny.
Answer the question.
Okay, I'm answering the question. If you just quit, heckling over there. He's running for council, so he's got to make his, So anyway, so we had I filed a couple lawsuits, because of certain things. So right now, there's one lawsuit that is active with court, and there's two lawsuits. It was filed by the police department, but they dropped them or they're dropping them.
Okay. I have two more questions because the time is running up. First, how do you evaluate your relation with the city council? Are you on good terms?
I'm doing what's best for the city, and I present everything, whatever I present it, and you know what? I'm pretty good with everybody. So.
But do you think they are cooperating with you? You are cooperating with them?
Well, they're working good. I mean, majority of them have their sight on the city, trying to propel our city forward as well.
The services in the city, the service the city is providing to its inhabitants, how do you evaluate them?
Well,
they're very high priced.
No, it is. But I can tell you, we wasted a lot of money in the last few years. Stuff that we could have, there's a lot of money that we could have allocated to do certain things. Just like the lead lines. We spend millions of dollars in just updating lead lines. We could have gotten grants for all of that stuff. So that money could have been used for the city. There was a company that was supposed to be doing cleaning for sewers. I looked at it the other day. Just in the time they were there, we spent almost $8 million, and they were cleaning the same sewers over and over and over. The minute it was brought up by myself and another councilman, guess what? That company just disappeared, and they were housed out of DPW. So that money, the $8 million that we wasted, could have been used for city services. We have a lot of work to do, but we're doing everything we can with the money that we have. We have a lot of waste that happened in the past, and now, it's all, like I said, it's our administration that has to clean all of it.
A lot of people elected you to be the mayor.
Yes.
Are you still in good term with them? And what do you think next term they will re-elect you?
I can tell you one thing. I think I have more backers now than I did before. There's a lot of people that they come to the city hall. Most people that are in the city hall, 2 days every 2 weeks or so. 2 hours every 2 weeks, 3 hours. I encounter a lot of residents. I walk the hallways. I talk to residents. I'm all over the city. And a lot of people, there's people that they said, I didn't support you. But you know what? I support you right now. I see what's going on. I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen the potential the city has. Okay. So I'm very confident in the way we're going.
Okay. I started by the questions by one question about Dearborn Heights before Bill BAZZI and with Bill BAZZI. Now, the last question. Dearborn Heights, Bill BAZZI now and the future. What?
Well,
what do you have in mind? What do you have in your pocket for that?
Well, we're applying for a lot of grants. We have a lot of grants right now that we're trying to pursue. And I'm trying to make sure that in the past, a lot of money was taken from the water fund. A lot of stuff that should have been done through grants, like I said, the lead line, so that's why it increases a lot of water rates. So there's a big project that we're working on right now, trying to separate, when I mentioned earlier about the two different watersheds, I think we're overpaying for certain things. But once we figure everything out, trying to get a team to manage our the two projects to figure out where how much you're really spending in water and sewer, and how much you have to pay for these services. We're heading to a good way in the front. Moving forward, there's a lot of great things happening in the city. We have a great staff. We have a lot of, like I said, the police department. If you don't have a good, solid police department, we have a great, solid fire department. We're just trying to get the same with our police department. We have 3 great leaders right now in the police department. And like I mentioned earlier, a lot of police officers approach me and they want to stay in the city. They want to move forward. They want to do great things. So the chief already has ideas for them, what we can do once we're fully staffed. We got to do a lot of great things. We're going to have task forces. We're going to have people assigned different things, so people can be positive, feel good about their job, they can just look forward to, coming to work.
Okay. I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for this event. I want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank our sponsors, Dr. Nasib Fawaz, who sponsor our events, Elite Sports and iCode. بتشكركم جميعا، شكرا لكم والى اللقاء في الشهر المقبل ان شاء الله. الشهر الجاي بكون معنا عبد الله حمود رئيس بلدية ديربورن باذن الله. السلام عليكم.